Well, welcome and thank you for joining us tonight for our rookie series session, Intro to Wheelchair Softball. So we have reserved time at the end of the session for a question and answer portion. So for the bulk of this presentation, you will be muted, but we will open it up at the end for questions. So feel free to ask any questions either in the chat or you can use the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen. So the purpose of these Rookie Series webinars is to provide some general background information about our organization and about adaptive sports, and then to provide more specific information about wheelchair softball, and then different opportunities available to participate and how you can get involved. And then, like I mentioned, we'll answer any questions you might have at the end. My name is Brooke Kieber, and I'm a program manager, primarily in the Wayne County area programs. And then with me today is Brett Followay. He is our Director of Equipment Operations and is also a program manager in Wayne County. So to start off, I'll just give a little background information about our organization. We are a nonprofit that provides a variety of community-based and interscholastic adaptive sports throughout Ohio. We were founded in 2009 by Lisa Followay, and the idea for the organization was inspired by her son, Casey, who was born with spina bifida. Casey was always really active as a child and loved sports, and Lisa saw how sports immensely benefited Casey, and so she felt that others with physical disabilities should have that same opportunity to gain those benefits. So that's kind of how Adaptive Sports Ohio was born. And then our mission is to remove barriers to ensure that individuals with physical disabilities have a chance to play and utilize sport to elevate ability and empower futures. We are headquartered in Worcester, Ohio, but have satellite offices in Cleveland and Youngstown, and active programming in Wayne, Cuyahoga, Mahoning, Lucas, Stark, and Summit counties. But through our various interscholastic opportunities and our annual summer camp, our reach is actually statewide. A common question that we get is who are adaptive sports for and who is eligible to participate. Typically, we say adaptive sports are for individuals with a physical disability that limits their ability to participate in a typical sport. So some common examples of the physical disabilities among athletes in our program are spinal cord injuries, spina bifida, amputees, individuals with visual impairments, cerebral palsy, scoliosis. And that's not a comprehensive list, but just gives you a general idea about some of the disability types that typically play and compete in our programs. A common misconception about adaptive sports is that you have to be an everyday wheelchair user to participate. That's definitely not the case. Many of our athletes are actually not everyday wheelchair users. And then when you think about what type of adaptive sports are out there, if there's a typical sport, it can usually be modified by either adding a piece of equipment or modifying a playing rule. We break our programs down into two different categories: community-based programs, which are open to all ages and disability types. We offer both competitive and recreational opportunities and provide all of the equipment for those. The sports we offer do vary by location, but you can see a list there of a lot of the community-based programs that we offer. And then we do also offer interscholastic programs, which are school-based programs. These provide an opportunity for students with a physical disability to represent and compete for their school teams. So we offer wheelchair basketball, and then we also assist athletes in getting involved on their school track and field teams. So tonight we have wheelchair softball, and earlier we had interscholastic adaptive sports. Our next webinar will be on August 4th, and that's at 8 p.m. That will be wheelchair football. So you can kind of see our schedule for upcoming webinars there. And if you're interested in any of those, you can definitely feel free to reach out to us, and we'll get you added to that email list. And now I will hand it over to Brett, and he's going to talk about wheelchair softball.
Okay, first we're going to talk about the equipment. So we use manual sports chairs. We don't typically allow someone just to bring their everyday chair in off the street and use it, because it's not going to be as stable and as safe or as maneuverable. A softball bat, and again, we typically go shorter, simply because being in the chair, it's just a little easier to use a shorter bat. 60-inch softball, The bases, you can use like a rubber base, or we often use tape. That way it doesn't move. We just tape a square down for the bases. Pretty much the only player that uses a glove would be the first baseman, and that's because a lot of times on the grounders, the fielders will pick that ball up and they'll just really fire it into first base. So it's optional, but a lot of times the first baseman will wear a glove. Nobody else, because they got to be able to maneuver the chair, and you can't really maneuver a chair to get to the ball if they're wearing a glove. And then the batting tee is optional for recreational play. As far as the playing surface, played on a level, smooth, hard surface, blacktop or similar materials. Many times we've played in a parking lot. It's not the best because you're going to have the ground's going to be sloping like to a drain. There's going to be cracks, whatever. It's not the best. So we also play like on the double basketball court. They're a true wheelchair softball field. They're not readily available. There's not a lot of them around. So we just kind of have to adapt for the actual surface that we play on. There'll be 50 feet between the bases, so it's not as large as a regular softball field or a baseball field. And then the bases are 4-foot circles with semicircles at first and third. And then as far as competitive wheelchair softball goes, that in the United States, it's governed by the National Wheelchair Softball Association. They oversee right around 40 adult and junior teams, men, women, boys, and girls of all ages included, co-ed teams. The international wheelchair softball team then is over international softball. And again, the 16-inch softball is what we use, and that follows basically the typical stand-up, as you call it, softball rules. And then there is an annual wheelchair softball World Series. So just a few of the rules. So typical defensive positions, you got the catcher, pitcher, all the bases, shortstop, and then you actually have one extra outfielder. So you have 4 outfielders, and that's simply to be able to get to the ball a little quicker. If they're spread out, you could really hit that ball into some gaps, and it would take a while for them to get there possibly. So they try to add that extra outfielder just to make it a little more challenging to get extra base hits. Players assign a point value for the disability. That's called a classification. They do follow the National Wheelchair Basketball Association classification. So all teams are required to have at least one quadriplegic player on their team. Oftentimes that person is the pitcher or the catcher, simply because they're not going to be able to be as maneuverable out in the field to, get the grounders or the fly balls and then get the ball to where it needs to go for the outs. A lot of times it'll be a pitcher or catcher is the position they'll play. Again, the classes are 1, 2, 3, 1 being lower functioning, and then 3 being someone higher functioning, maybe just missing a lower limb or something like that. But other than that, they're fairly typical functioning. So then once you add up all the players, there's a maximum of 22 points allowed on the field between all 10 players. A player is considered touching the base when 1 or more wheels are inside the circle. Now, if you're running the base, you can actually reach down, touch it with your hand. I probably wouldn't suggest that, but you can do that if you need to. The caster on the anti-tip is not considered one of the wheels, so that does not count. And then no lower extremities can come in contact with the ground. They don't want somebody cheating by using their foot for whatever, for balance or to stop or to turn. So no lower extremities can contact the ground. And that's pretty much it. I mean, that's the basics of the rules for the wheelchair softball.
We do have an upcoming opportunity for wheelchair softball in Youngstown. We play at Mill Creek Park, and that will be next Tuesday, July 13th. So that'll be 6 o'clock to 7:30. We'll scrimmage, maybe do some drills, but it should be a fun opportunity. So if you'd be interested in that, let us know. if you're ready to start playing, again, you can contact us. Our contact will be on the next slide here. But once you register, really all you have to do is show up ready to practice and ready to learn and have some fun. And again, we do provide all of the equipment, all of the sports chairs, bats, softballs, a batting tee. We'll provide all of that. And here is our contact information. You have my email there, as well as our General Adaptive Sports Ohio email. There's a lot of information on our website, so you can definitely visit that and see all of the other sports that we offer. We're on all kinds of social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. So feel free to check us out there. So if you have any questions, and it looks like we do have one question. Oh, where is the Adaptive Sports Ohio office in Cleveland?
It's on Commerce Parkway.
Yeah.
So it's actually, I'm trying to think what it is, Willoughby? No. Anyways, it's Commerce Parkway, so. Yes, Warrensville Heights, that's it. Thanks.
Yep.
It was quick on that one.
He was. All right, any other questions? All right, if not, well, thank you again for joining us, and we hope you learned a little bit about wheelchair softball and are interested in trying it out. Again, feel free to contact us, but have a great night.